90% of consumers read online reviews before visiting a business. What do people see when they look you up online? We give you the tools you need to take control of your reputation. Send surveys to your customers via text message with Testimonial Collector. Get 5-star reviews on all the major platforms like Google, Yelp, and more. Track what people are saying about your business with Reputation Manager. Respond to comments and turn negative reviews into happy customers. See what your competitors' customers are saying about them with Competition Tracker. Learn great marketing tactics and what it takes to stay on top. A bigger social presence means more connections. Automatically generate and schedule engaging social media posts with Social 365. Build trust, boost sales, and grow your business.
Hey, what is up? Welcome back, everybody. This is Rose. I'm your host of the Entrepreneur Life Show, and it is another day in the life of an entrepreneur. I just want to say thank you to all of the subscribers, people who have been faithfully following, and everybody who has become members. Yes, we have grown that much, and I am so looking forward to the growth of the show and all these amazing guests that I have been having. I want to make sure that you guys let me know where you are listening from. So if you are on your very favorite podcast app right now, make sure that you can go in the chat box and let me know where you are listening from. Or maybe you're watching live on one of your very favorite social media platforms. Maybe you're on YouTube. Check me out in the super chat. Make sure that you subscribe. Always want to subscribe. Always want to become a member. Always want to get great notifications when we are going live and who our amazing, amazing guests are, because I think I have the best guests ever. Of course, I love this stuff. I love this show. I also want to make sure before we get our guest and introduce who he is, that I give a great shout out to my sponsor. Always amazing, always the best, Sean Maddox Marketing. Out the Box Media. Make sure you check out Sean Maddox Marketing Out the Box. He is the best. You can go to my website, entrepreneurlife.show, and you can get a hold of him there. Just click on the link, Marketing Out the Box Media, Sean Maddox. Okay, so what is going on today? So I am really happy to have this particular, I'm happy to have everybody, but this is kind of a special meaning, especially in this time. There's so much controversy, so much going on. I think this is an excellent, excellent topic that we really haven't touched a lot on the show. If you saw one of our segments with speech from Arrested Development, it kind of like plays a part in that, where I think it's a really great asset and addition. So my guest today is Marquise Trent, who's a published author. And let me tell you, this is such a controversial issue and a great issue to have. You really have to check out his book, Overstanding. It's a comprehensive look on GangstaRap, really how the culture is, how it affects our community, how it affects the people. There's so much to say, right, to talk about on this subject, this narrative. So I am going to bring him on the show right now so he can really so we can take a journey with him and everybody can share his story and experience. And we want to make sure that, we give his book some justice, because I definitely think this is going to be a great read and a great interview. So let's bring him on right now and introduce him. Hi.
How you doing, Rose? Nice to meet you.
Great. And thank you so much for taking the time to be a part of the show today. I sincerely appreciate it. Sincerely.
I appreciate you, truly. Thank you for the opportunity.
So, while we're getting started, because of course I want people to understand your where you come from and why this became such a great passion for you and a subject. So if you can kind of give our listeners a little bit about kind of your youth and growing up, and they can kind of connect the two on why this is so passionate for you.
Absolutely. So my signature speech, so to speak, is I was raised good, but the streets bad. So what I mean by that is, you know, I came from a Christian upbringing. I'm from the South, Richmond, Virginia, capital of the South. So although many blacks are into different things, you know, Islam, 5%ers and stuff, we all know, especially coming from the slaves, a large portion of our people were, you know, Baptists, Southern Baptists or whatever. So that's how I came up. But when I was in the church coming up, I didn't really see what I've come to know as holiness and righteousness and stuff. I really just saw like tradition, like this is what we did because mom took us to church and all that type of stuff. So to me, it was a part of life. You party on Saturday, you go to church on Sunday, life goes on Monday. So I lived like that till as a teenager. I jumped off the porch, as they say, and started running the streets. So got into alcohol, drugs, sex, you know, then really started getting into gangsterism, you know, guns and selling drugs and things of that nature. And I saw what really comes with it. So although coming up, and I like to say, you know, the truth is there were gangsters in my family, but it's like they didn't show that as a way of life for us to see. It's like, yeah, one of my uncles was in prison, you know, for a number of years for particular charges. I had other family members who, you know, put in work in the streets and stuff, but like they didn't make that something glorious for us to see. So, you know, it was just life. So family, you know, would drink and cuss and play poker, Pokino, gamble, get drunk, talk trash. So that was normal life. But when I started really experiencing the reality of real street life and real violence, and as they say, gunplay, and being arrested and under investigation for various crimes and stuff, like that changes things. You know, when detectives are looking for you and all that, like, you know, so that's a whole nother ball game, you know. So that was it for me. You know, went to school. I was born in dysfunction. You know, both of my parents love me. I do know my father, but when I hit the scene, you know, they were separated. So I was born into a divorce relationship. And there were times where I bounced between both houses and things of that nature. So I got to see a lot of the city and the county. I lived in both the city of Richmond and the county as well. So my upbringing and my experiences is very diverse. You know, I've gone to school, I've gone to college, I did time in the military. I'm a veteran. I've been in jail multiple times. You know, so I've had so many different life experiences that I've encountered that I can speak from so many different angles on what life is like and these different things.
Now, I know you have a background in music yourself.
Yep. I started rapping in 97.
How did that come into fruition to now? It's kind of like this 380. I mean, and don't get me wrong, but from getting in trouble on the streets, you know, and being like a lot of kids today, and going to the military and going to college kind of doesn't mix with rap as so the stereotype is. Let's say that.
Yeah. And so I would love to speak to that. But so again, I started rapping in 1997. So originally I rapped secular. Right now I make inspirational music. I rap faith-based music and things of that nature, gospel rap or what have you. So I want to set that there. But when I started in 1997, just like most children today, I was influenced. In 97, the big artist was Bone Thugs and Harmony. So I was influenced by Bone Thugs and Harmony. So I wrote songs. You know, I was just laughing, like some of the guys that I was with, we actually named ourselves Bone. You know, I always had swag as a youngster, so I called myself Silk Bone because I was smooth as silk and I had swag and the girls liked me. So that was what I went by, you know. But another guy that I know, he even though we were like 12 and 13, he had a little more of a physique, so he called himself Flex Bone. So it was like even the reality of us being so influenced that our very first rap names was mimicking who was on mainstream. So when I speak to this situation, I speak from experience and the reality that we as human beings, we model what we see. We become what we see. So when you have a certain image out there in general, music, entertainers, movies, it's natural to model it no matter who you are. So we modeled what we saw. Now, as I grew, I only began to rap about what I experienced. So if I didn't shoot anybody, I'm not going to say I shot anybody. If I didn't kill anybody, I'm not going to say it. So I used to do that so I can at least keep it real with myself enough to say,
Right.
well, I ain't kill nobody. So why I'm going to say I got 5 bodies under my belt, I'm riding. But the stuff that I was doing, I did say that I did, you know, so.
So you know that rap music has this negative stereotype of you're, you know, at least, you know, 2.5%, 3% likely to be arrested, or you have been arrested and been to jail. It's very sexually motivated and driven. It's glorified and it emphasizes violence. Now,
Facts.
would you say it's even more today than, you know, I'm in my 50s. I mean, I love KRS-One. I mean, you know, music has changed, rap has changed. I mean, I don't think it's the same anymore. But do you think that's pretty accurate as far as the stereotype of rap, even from back then to now?
Yeah, you know, when I did the research, my first book was Weapons of Mass Destruction, and that gave birth to Overstanding. It was Weapons of Mass Destruction, loud weapons for quiet wars, the destruction of a generation through music, media, and entertainment. So it's like, even while researching and I'm seeing these statistics, at times it was hard for me to believe some of these statistics that were downplaying it when I've lived it. I've been shot at close range. I've been victim of home invasion and gunplay and stuff. I did my own stuff. You know, I ain't gonna incriminate myself.
Right.
But what comes with that life, you know what I'm saying? What comes with that life, I've experienced it. I've seen, you know, people, fiends, smoking crack and getting high and out their mind, and dope fiends so high they scream into the top of their lungs with pleasure and pain, you know, while the heroin is moving through their systems. Like, I've seen, you know, I've experienced this stuff. So it's one thing that to see what the statistics is saying. Well, you know, drugs aren't that bad and all, but it's like rap started as a news platform for people of color back in the day. Blacks were using music because, you know, it started with the blues. It started with the blues, you know, the plights of the Southerners and blacks in general being slaves, and then some will go to Chicago and some will go to certain places. So it started with the rhythm and blues of us talking about our lifestyle and the struggles of being blacks in a white man's world. So the original rap was about more of a message of, this is where we are. Y'all need to know what's really going on in our neighborhoods. But I believe, I firmly believe there was a switch. Now, granted, like I made it a point in my book, I'm not saying that crime started with rap music. I'm not saying that. There's always been murder. There's always been addictions. There's always been all of that. And there was even music that told about the reality that what goes on in the neighborhood. But the issue to me is when they began to make it mass and then push that narrative, but pull back on the education. The Nas's, the KRS-Ones, the individuals with knowledge to empower people of color, they began to get reeled back and their albums began to get pulled back. But let's push the ignorant Negro narrative, and history will show you with the Birth of a Nation in 1915. Before the new one that dropped with KRS, before the new Birth of a Nation that came out with Nat Turner, the original was in 1915. And the president at that time showed it in the White House. That was used as a marketing tool to awaken the KKK members. I don't know how many people know that. But the interesting thing about that is that they used blackface. So they had white people showing themselves as blacks, but the blacks were portrayed, and I quote, so to speak, as lascivious, cowardice individuals. So because the blacks were shown as cowards, perverts, rapists, murderers, amazingly, the universal laws, it was said that they began to actually model and become what they were portrayed as. That was in 1915. Go ahead.
So, okay, because you're talking about how, it seemed that rap has been, or gangster rap has been glorified. I remember reading or hearing somewhere about there's actual, you say your radio stations, writers where they intentionally would, I guess you'd say, like you would say, playback, I guess like KRS-Ones or people who are educating in their music today, but they were only putting out explicit gangsta music. And I remember reading or a biography somewhere about in record labels where intentionally they were putting it in place. And so, and how I mean, I just hear it from the media, but you're more involved. How accurate is that?
One thing that I like to look at, we as people, we're so intelligent, but sometimes we can be so dumb, so blind. Sometimes we want to see something in black and white and want to see it in a source. Right. You're looking for that validation, but use the God-given sense you got. The circumstantial evidence shows you, why do I only hear this? Why do I only hear that? You can't get your music. You just can't call a radio station and say, hey, man, I got a hot song, play it. It don't work like that. You got to go to the what? Program director. So you have the director of programming. What is programming? Programming is the facilitation and the structuring of concepts and ideas in software, be it computer programming, be it social engineering and programming. So people like to say, I don't deal with that conspiracy stuff. To me, it's a foolish statement, because when you look at what's happening, then you can see the evidence of so-called conspiracies. I like to say, if myself and someone is conspiring to rob a bank, until we do it, it's just a conspiracy. But once we ran out there with $500,000 in cash and jumped in the Durango and pulled off down the street and went to the other getaway car and then drive and get in that car and dump the mask in the glove, it ain't no conspiracy no more. We robbed the bank. So when you see what's going on in our neighborhoods, when you see the only images that are pushed, perfect example, Megan Thee Stallion. Megan Thee Stallion is a beautiful, brilliant young black woman. She's far from educated.
And she's educated. People don't even know she's actually
very educated. That's what I'm saying. She's very educated. She's very smart, and she actually could have went a whole nother path. Now, I'm not gonna say she ain't from the hood, but even in that, Andre 3000 said, "Ain't a hood dude, but a dude from the hood." So we'll talk about that later, because it's about the mindset and how you choose to portray and continue to move. Truth be told, but let's go back here. Megan Thee Stallion is brilliant, beautiful, strong black woman, but she purposely has humbled herself for that money to portray the image of a promiscuous whore. Period. This is what she sells to our young daughters and supposed princesses and queens. What's up with that? That's all I say. I just asked the question. You might have a daughter. I got daughters. I don't want to see my daughters twerking like that and talking about this type of stuff that they talk about doing. I'm just saying.
So do you think rap music now is being glorified versus most people would look against the type of, I guess, the verses and what they're saying, because now it just seems like you need a hook and a dance and it's not even an art form.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's been a constant swaying and social engineering of the masses, even with the schools, where they're dumbing us down. When my children say, "Dad, this is this and this is that," I be like, "What?" When I was in school, 83 or 84 was a C. You know what I'm saying? To them, an 83 or 84 is a B. So it's like, when you look at the overall picture, it's like, what are, quote unquote, they doing? I ain't gonna get into too much, but what are they doing and what are we allowing? So when you're glorifying promiscuity, when you're glorifying sexuality and things of that nature, and glorifying violence, for instance, I just talked about this yesterday, the big Junebug challenge, I'm sure you're familiar. Everybody doing the little dance. It's a funny dance. I get it. But actually go and listen to the words that he's saying in that small part. He's talking about shooting another young black man in Florida that has dreads. Dreads is popular now. Shooting him in his spine, knocking his dreads off, and then saying, my warden, my friend, my partner caught a body, street terminology, shot somebody, so I nicknamed him Randy Moss. Randy Moss was a legendary catcher and receiver.
Yeah.
So it's like, I've been to vigils. I've seen mothers and family members crying their eyeballs out because their teenager or their grown man family member was murdered. So my thing is for America and its blacks, this is my thing. It's all about accountability and responsibility. All right, I get we want to have fun with music, okay. But you cannot properly and ethically continue to glorify, uplift, purchase, and push music and culture that promotes everything that you're already crying about. Period.
Yeah.
Well, I ain't got no daddy, so I got 4 children out of wedlock. Well, I ain't got nobody cares about me, so I got pregnant. I got all these children.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Well, my daddy wasn't in my life, so I don't know how to be a man. So I'm gonna just keep on slinging iron, keep on robbing, keep on selling drugs. So we perpetuate. And I actually said I stopped saying we because I'm no longer involved in that. But black culture continues to perpetuate lifestyles, music that goes against everything that they say that they want. We want to be equal. We want to be educated. We want freedom. We want wealth. We want our children to grow and have good schools. But you rob, you steal, you break, you rob, you like everything is opposite.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm not pointing the finger to say I'm better than nobody. Been there, done that. I got the t-shirt, the mug, and everything. I was out there. I was there. But now it's time to change the narrative. Shout out Tracy McLean. That's her. My homegirl here in Richmond, she was running for mayor, and that was her slogan. Change the narrative.
So let me tell you. So
shout out me. Thanks for tuning in.
When I listen to, I remember, Eazy-E, Ice Cube, all that back in the day. And now you see, and I'm not trying to name anyone in specific. I'm just I'm talking about the genre and the time. Is now you see even like Snoop Dogg. It's they made it clear what they did, what they were saying, what they were doing back then, and then now are attempting to turn this leaf of saying, don't do as I did, do as I do, I guess. And what do you think about when you have artists back then that were so hardcore and all of this stuff that was that made blacks or African Americans, whatever you want to make it look like, we like you said, we steal, we rob, we're just out there having sex, having kids, on welfare. And then today you're going, but listen to me. Are you getting what I'm saying? Like, but listen to what I'm saying. Don't do this. Like, but that's not what you were saying many years ago.
But that's the thing. People have to be willing to give grace and to forgive. If I'm a boy in a grown man's body, because you said arrested development, that's literally what it is. Nobody really wants to say, hey, I'm a grown child. I'm a grown boy. I'm a grown girl. When you go through trauma retards and arrests your development at that place until you begin to resolve that, to change that. That's why a lot of times we also continue to perpetuate cycles because we're thinking and operating from a childish mindset, a teenage mindset. So, what I'm saying, things of that nature. But if they are truthfully, with integrity, seeking to right wrongs and change it, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think people be childish when they say parents shouldn't tell their children not to smoke weed. Parents shouldn't tell their children don't have sex. You can't tell somebody don't do it if you did it. I know I did it. Right. And I know all the heartache and pain that comes from me doing it. I know the girl's hearts that I broke from sleeping with her and telling her it's just her, but it's still her and it's her. Or catching an STD because I'm feeling myself or whatever, because this is the reality. You know what I'm saying? Like for instance, children are a blessing, glory to God, all that. But for those that do have children out of wedlock 1 time and 2 times and 3, go talk to them, because I do. They're not joyous about that. They love their children, but they know that wasn't their plan. They was going for a moment of pleasure, if it was, because I know people that got children from being raped, but it was a moment of pleasure, a moment of vulnerability, a moment of brokenness, a moment of being high or drunk, which led to a sexual encounter, which led to a child being born. Sometimes it's once, twice, 3, 4, 5. I know plenty of women with plenty of instances that wasn't their plan. So when we continue to perpetuate that, well, Mom, how you gonna tell me? Well, Dad, how you gonna tell me when you did it, son? Do you know that I used to drive? Do you know what comes with that? Do you know what comes with that? You know, so to me, it's not an accurate. It's not wise. It's not wise. It's my job as your parent, as a positive male figure in the community, to say, hey, you make your own choices, but I can tell you what happens from living this lifestyle of recklessness. I was in the hospital at 16 years old because I was drinking E&J, brandy, Parmesan. I forgot what Parmesan is. I think it's a brandy as well. You know, straight, no chaser. At 14, 15 years old, smoking Black and Mild, drinking straight liquor, had no business doing that. My young teenage body, it put me in the hospital because it literally ate away my stomach lining. I had gastritis as a teenager. I missed Thanksgiving and Christmas dinner because when I ate, it felt like somebody lit a match in my stomach.
So then, what do you think about reality shows? With these reality, these hip hop, LA, hip hop, Hollywood, you know, it seems like it's made it very enticing for the young people, and that you really, it's just like, as long as you get that one hit or be seen or get that one viral video, because it seems violence and negativity, you may get more visibility, and it's more glorified. So I mean, how can you even, I guess you'd say, fight against it? I mean, because, you know, my kids are grown now, and so I know what my time was. And I look at now, it's like it's a very hard fight for what's out there.
It is. One thing that I've learned, one thing that I've learned is if I've reached one, there's a scripture that says the Lord left the 99, the shepherd left the 99 and went for the one, because one person changed. There's only one Jeff Bezos. There's only one Rose. There was only one Michael Jackson. There was only one anybody that impact masses. So if I go hard and talk to 1,000 people and only get one, who is that one? There was one Paul the Apostle who wrote the majority of the New Testament and, you know, went to speak to all these thousands and thousands and thousands of people. There was one Martin Luther King Jr. We got a Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We ain't got a Black Freedom Day. We got an MLK Day. He got schools, he got roads, he got everything. Why? Because that one man impacted. So although it is a very difficult fight, and I understand what we're fighting against, I was called to do this. So I'm going to do it. It don't feel good when my partner, who I love, is doing 2 life sentences in 50, 60, or 80 years or something crazy. And other brothers and sisters that's lost in the system because they were living a lifestyle. Now more than ever, we have the opportunity to earn income. But I want to speak to what you said to this degree. It comes with a checking of the heart and developing a proper ethos for our people. Blacks were proud people. You know what I'm saying? My grandma told me, I already let the cat out of the bag, so I ain't gonna say which one. But my grandma told me the worst thing that happened to blacks was us being desegregated. Now she's very up in age, so she's seen multiple generations, but this is what she meant. When we try to blend with whites, and I love everybody, I'm a man of God, I got love for everybody, I'm awake for real, so I'm not caught up with the same, you know, things that certain people battle with.
Right.
When blacks try to be like the whites, we begin to shun each other and push each other and and crab in the bird. You know, it changed things. So once we start having all of this other music, like crack cocaine, hit the neighborhoods and destroy, we're still dealing with the effects of crack cocaine that hit in the early 80s. That's like 30, 40 years ago. So to speak to what you were saying, what are the values? That was what I was saying. Now, granted, they was having wild sex in the 70s and 60s. You know, there was always a level of, you do a little dance, make a little love, get down tonight. There was always a please yourself mentality. I get that. But the older people say, never have we seen such violence like this. There's no morals. There's no values. What are the core values of us as a nation and as a Black culture and a people? Right. Because that's going to determine what we will and won't do, will and won't allow. If you want a lot of drama in your life all the time, you're going to be around a lot of drama in your life all the time. The reality shows, the this, the that, the this, the that. But as you grow, your vibration raises and you get into a different circle. Some stuff just ain't allowed no more.
Right.
Some stuff I don't want to hear anymore. It disturbs my spirit. When I was in it, I was with it. All the madness. Yeah. But as I began to separate and the further that I moved away, it don't feel the same. And like I told my partner in prison, I'm about to be quiet after this. I said, bro, because he was a solid gangster, 10 toes down, the epitome of real gangsterism. I said, bro, I got one question on some real talk. At what point do you grow up? And that shook him to his core. At what point do you grow up? Because although the streets, and I might get flack from this, but people that have been in the streets and grown up, they understand. Yes, it's about respect, loyalty, and getting money, stuff like that. I get it, but on some real talk, a lot of street codes and ethics is childish. It's childish. Somebody look at you the wrong way, you fly off the handle. You do this, you do that. It's like, where's the control? A real man has control. A real man can move and operate in different ways. A real woman can move and operate in different ways. But a lot of the code outside of the solid codes, I know about this stuff. But a lot of stuff is like, man, where's the control? You know, a man can control himself. You know, a woman can control herself. Where's the structure? Where's the foundation? Where's the ethics? You know, I came from the military, the warrior ethos. The ethos is the overall foundational beliefs and movements of a soldier, of a person that has, you know, leadership, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. Now, I know some street dudes that got some codes and some ethics, but mainstream right now, ain't no structure, ain't no foundation, ain't no nothing. It's a freaking free for all. It's crazy, it's disorganized, and truth be told, it's disgusting, period.
I mean, I tend to agree with you. And thanks, Kittrick. That's Kittrick Taylor. He just came out with his book. He used to be in the NFL for many years.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that, Kittrick. I really do. God bless you, man.
What do you think do you think there is any accountability or responsibility now that we have all of these artists, and I'm just saying specific artists, Black artists, African-American artists, that now that they're making the money, I guess they're now able to write their own passage, you know, own their own rights, and social media, you can get music out anywhere now. You don't really always have to go through some record label. So True. Do you think there is a responsibility? And then some people think, why should I be responsible? I should, you know, I'm not responsible for everybody. I'm not responsible to have to be accountable for if they buy my music or not buy my music or listen to it. Do you think there's an accountability, or they so like, you know what, it's their choice. Is this what I want to sell and people are going to buy it? Then they're going to buy it.
No, absolutely. It should. It should be. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, when you become a public figure, and that's what I'm saying, I would always rather have money with no fame. Right. I take $1 million, 2, 10, 100 million, $1 billion. I would rather have riches and wealth without fame. Why? Because when you got fame, your life is no longer yours. Now, when you got real riches and wealth anyway, you become, most people don't really want the discipline that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? If we as a culture begin to hold people responsible, because to me, it's a cop-out to say, oh, them your children, that mess started at home. You need to do this. You need to, man, that's a cop-out. It's a cop-out. Like my partner just posted, train up a child in the way that he should go so when they're old, they will not depart from it. That's true. But how much hell you gonna go through, you know what I'm saying, on their way. Yeah, you're a child. You should do this, son. You should do this, daughter. You should do this. You should do this. But then you done got out, you're sowing your wild oats, you're smoking weed, you're selling drugs, you're shooting, you're robbing, you're going to jail, you're experiencing all of this. So now you come out with the scars to prove it. But like I told my daughter, sweetheart, some regrets you don't have to have. Some regrets you shouldn't have to feel the weight of. So when you got these rappers out here, the rapper more powerful than the president. The rapper more powerful in most cases than pastors. Real talk. Yeah. Because every beckoned word, whatever they put on, the culture wears. Whatever they put on, they got grown men wearing nail polish. Man, come on, man. You might get shot for that back in the day.
Right.
You might literally get shot down or beat down if you're a grown man walking with fingernail polish on in the hood near you.
Right.
We wouldn't get caught dead wearing skinny jeans when I was young, when I was coming up. Now that's all they wear with bags on. You got a bag, bro. We men, like certain stuff men just don't do. Real masculine men just ain't doing certain stuff. But now, because of the power of media, they get one guy to wear it. This is why, without getting all spiritual, selling your soul, meaning your integrity. Now I believe of another level, but here I'm talking about your integrity as a man.
Yeah.
That you're willing to wear a purse, paint your fingernails a certain color, put on all this craziness because the record label said so, because they want to push an agenda. They want to push an agenda to emasculate black men for their purposes. Marquise, you actually believe that? For goodness sake, look around. You got real dudes. That's real dudes. They so inundated that they starting to give in and wear the skinny pants. They starting to wear a bag. Why? Because the bag costs $3,000, $5,000. We getting money. I got bands in my bag. Bro, you got on a man purse. You got on a man bag. You know what I'm saying? So what am I saying? It's affecting our culture to sway it, to bring confusion and perversion. So I don't know if I answered your question. I forgot.
No, you did, and you emphasized on it, because that kind of leads me to the question of fathers, and it doesn't even have to be fathers, but a male role model in the home, or you don't even have to be in the home, because even back in my day, even though my dad wasn't around, you still had male role models.
Absolutely.
Whether it be your friend's dad or from the your teachers, there was still some role model. And now it's like everything is so touchy. You really don't know who you can trust, but you don't even know. Men aren't I guess they're not the same from what I'm accustomed to. They're not the same. It's like a woman doesn't have a role anymore. And don't get me wrong, because I know it's like every woman's like, oh, we are free to do whatever, do anything a man can do. Is not what I'm saying. I'm saying it just there's no roles anymore. So it would be so difficult to raise a child right now. Is why I'm glad mines are grown. That not that it wasn't difficult. But I'm looking at, I would hate to have children at this time.
Wow, that's powerful. I mean, the reality is, although people may not, and I'm going to speak from a strictly, I'll use the term worldly. I'm going to speak from a strictly worldly, philosophical standpoint. No matter if people believe in God, Jesus, the Bible, I'm not here to try to say this is what you should believe. But I'm going to just speak from what I've studied. I've lived and I've studied. The studies have shown, I can't tell you exactly where to find it right now, but you can Google it. But when prayer got taken out of schools, and when this guy happened, the grades just began to drop. STD rates skyrocketed. Pregnancy skyrocketed. When God was taken out of, because as America, these were the foundational beliefs. And so when you look at the structure that was always there, a man and a woman and their children, there was such flourishing. Cover our eyes and say, oh, we free to love who we want to. You can do all that, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, look back historically to how things were.
Right.
There was a certain level of peace and stability that came from the structure that we were taught. It's just is what it is. You can do what you want to do. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is look back to see when a real man was the head of the household. And he partnered with his wife to lead the children. And there was the structure of a family unit when a man was a man and a woman was a woman and a child was a child and everything was cool. Not blending and mixing roles and we don't know what's what and a child can be this and a child can be now all the confusion and the pain and the mental strain that comes with these choices are apparent if we're willing to acknowledge it. Because it's easy to look the other way at the ugly truth. We don't want to look at the ugly truth. Let's just look the other way and keep medicating it and act like ain't nothing going on. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. I love everybody, but I'm just saying.
I mean, so, and I want to get into your book and how you transitioned.
Yes, ma'am.
So a lot of people don't like, I forget her last name, Candace, she's very Republican. Yeah. And she's very Republican, we all know. I forget her last name, Candace, but you know who she is. She's for you guys know who I'm talking about, but anyway, she's black.
Yeah.
But okay, so it's this thing about where something that sits with me and something that you were saying. It's about, as Blacks or African Americans, it always seems like, and people get some people that we are always begging, to be given what we're owed, what we're due, but then go out and, like you say, put not all of us, but
not all of us.
Media and marketing put us out there as though we are. And then with the music and the people and the entertainment that we're putting out there, because that's what the media wants everyone to see, to make it look like that's who we are. We're not working hard. We don't want it. If we get it, we steal it, we take it, or we do it by some vanity. We're very materialistic. So do you think that's kind of accurate? I mean, we're doing it to ourselves. We're destructing ourselves as a community.
Yeah, there's some truth to it, but you gotta look at I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, Candace Owens. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So there's truth to it, but you gotta look a little deeper at the issues. A lot of times we look at stuff surface, like Blacks were traumatized. Blacks did go through slavery for the amount of time that we have gone through. And I love white people, praise God, but we can all clearly see it's still a white man's world. And that we are still, even though we get a lot and got a lot, for us to say that there aren't hoops and holes and this and that we got to go through would be foolishness. So I like to say Blacks have more than we've ever had. We really do. So it's kind of one of those things. I mean, we got Black billionaires, many of them. We got Black multimillionaires, Black six-figure earners everywhere. So I encourage us to grow because things ain't the way they used to be. But a lot of the angst that Blacks still say is, why y'all still treating us unequal? Oh, I appreciate it, man. Come on, Kittrick, man. I appreciate you. But Blacks, we want that equality. You know what I'm saying? When you look and I think for me, I gotta say what I believe the answer is for people. But we look at, all right, man, why don't we just get our own? We did that. It was 3 Black Wall Streets. It was Charlotte, North Carolina. It was the most famous is Tulsa, Oklahoma, and amazingly in Richmond, Virginia, where I'm at. Jackson Ward, Richmond, Virginia, was considered a Black Wall Street, the Second Street Festival. We got Maggie Walker, we got, we had Banks, we got, so much. The Hippodrome Theater, Duke Ellington, all these people would come down here and perform and stuff. So right here in my city, there is a Black Wall Street. So that kind of speaks and gives credence to what my grandma was saying, was when we were segregated, that we want to run and try to be like the white people instead of staying a strong Black people. So when you go to the root to say, hey, who are we? We was coloreds, we was Blacks, we was Negroes, we African American. Who are we? I personally believe, and this is my belief, I believe this is the answer. And I'm going to be doing more on that. So I'll keep you posted when I got more definitive teachers that come forth. I believe that a large portion of the Blacks in America are the lost tribes of Israel. That's what I believe. And because of that, when you look at that, that is where you can find your answer. That the God of the Bible is not the white man's God, but this is the original God of the Hebrews. And the Hebrews look like me and like you. We are people of color. That Jesus really ain't Caesar Borgia in somebody's house, the white dude with the blonde hair, blue eyes, but Jesus probably looked like me with longer hair. I believe that that is beneficial to our knowledge because it heals a deep inner wound. You can say what you want to say, but when you watch cartoons and everybody white, when you look at all the movies and everybody white, when you look at everything that's on entertainment and everybody that's winning is white and everybody that's losing, that's less than, is black, subconsciously it will affect you. Period. You talk about subconscious level program, heart level program. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speak. As a man or woman think of in their heart, so are they. So if all we're seeing and being inundated with is that blacks are less than, according to the Constitution, a black person is 3/5 of a human or some type of craziness, that's pressed into our DNA. It's literally in our genetic makeup. So therefore, we're going to act out what's the truth in our DNA.
Yeah.
That's what I believe. Yeah, go ahead. I'm excited now. I'm excited.
You know what? I so relate with what you're saying because I've said this a few times, even though people might see this as just a minuscule little thing, just even on a job application or something. I go, why do I have to check minority? Why am I going to define myself as a minority because it's on paper? And little things like that when you're reading someplace, it sticks with you. And so you become less than, and you think you're less than and not valued. And so I get that. So
I look at the reality of words. I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, finish. I like hearing.
Because I was just sharing this yesterday, and I was saying the reality of words. There's a scripture, Proverbs 18:21, that says, death and life is in the power of the tongue. And I received a revelation that increased the power of that scripture, and I hope it blesses people. And that's death and life is in the power of the tongue's ability to create and use words.
Yeah.
Death and life is in the power of the tongue's ability to create and use words. So when you look at what words do, when you get to a stop sign, what do? You stop. Why? Because the word stop is on there. Now they use the red octagon and color psychology, psyche, mind, ology, the study of the mind. So once people begin to understand the human construct and how we're made, they can then find out how to properly manipulate. So when you use words like this on application and everything else, you're being inundated to know you're a minority. Who's a minority? Anybody but a white man. Who's a minority? Black people. Who's a minority? Women. Black people and women is not white men. So by their, and again, I love white people. I ain't trying to bring no division. I'm just pointing that fact. So by their admission, whoever they are, black people and women are considered less than.
Yeah, right. Hold on a second, guys. He's froze up just a little bit, so don't move. I'm sure it's just the internet. So I hope you guys are, there you go. I hope you guys are really enjoying this interview with Marquise Trent. This is just, I mean, so intuitive, so much information. I mean, I'm just loving it.
I appreciate it.
Okay, so you froze a little bit, but we still got you. So do you think that because we are as a people, and I'm not saying, I don't want people to come back and go, well, don't include me in that group, but we as a people that don't like to say we're black. It's always, I'm black and something else. I'm mixed. I didn't know that a place to live was a race or a culture, because I hear that often. Well, I'm from somewhere, and I'm like, I didn't know that was a race or a culture. But I even have people, because I say I'm black. My mother's Filipino, my father's black. But when people say, "Oh, I'm black," unless they ask, but people feel they have to ask. And like if you can't just say that you're black or African American, and now with this whole the racial divide has become so prominent now that you even have whites, or if you call them Europeans, some not even wanting to say they're white. They'll say they're white and Indian or from, someplace else.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, again, I ain't trying to sway nobody, but I like to even refer to the wisdom of the Bible. You believe what you want to believe, but I find so much wisdom. There's a scripture that says there's one flesh of beast, there's one flesh of bird, there's one flesh of fish, and there's one flesh of man. We're more alike than we are different. When you look at the biblical narrative, you had Noah and his wife, Ham and his wife, Shem and his wife. So after the flood, which every major nation on the planet has a flood story. Not gonna get into that, but I'm just saying. And it's amazing that people groups came from these people. Japheth is where the white people came from, the Caucasians and the Caucasus Mountains in Europe. The black people, the actual Africans came from Ham. The brown skin, the Hebrews or the Jews, which specifically came from Judah, Israel, they came from Shem. So you got two groups of people that were colored people, but still different.
Right.
Because we're all humans, but the main thing that separates us is our beliefs, our habits, our cultures, and our languages. That's the only real thing. We all got nose, ears, eyes, mouth, and every other feature. But it's our beliefs, our traditions, even in the scripture. He said, your people, their tongue, their tradition, everything else, we're people. You're a human race. When I went to the military, they made you work with everybody. You're going to work with this white dude. You're going to work with this Asian dude. You can whack us on the battlefield and bullets flying and it get real. You want a battle buddy. You don't care what color they is, long as they got your back. Period. We are the human race. We're the human race. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying.
So let's talk about your transition, because I want to know how you ended up transitioning from knowing that, taking this whole journey and writing your book to mentoring. What actually brought that about? Because that's a big change from your story. Like, did something traumatic happen, or was it going to the military? Sometimes people say going to the military or something happened would just change their whole view, and they did that 180.
So like I said, I had a lot of different experiences. I don't want to get too many years and all that, but I had my first tour as a teen, came home. Iraq was, my second tour. But like I said, one of my best friends went to prison for multiple life sentences. That was eye-opening. When I was overseas the first time, a close friend of mine got gunned down in the streets. When I was in basic training, another partner I was running with, he had time. He came home. He ended up getting 25 years, recently. So seeing all these people lose it, but then after I got home, I ended up catching a charge, and I already had a criminal record because of my, my recklessness or whatever. But I ended up catching a charge that this time really should have sent me up the river because of my prior record. And I'm like, man, I'm just tired. I don't want to be on probation. I don't want to, be pissing in cups and going to see these people and tell them this, and I can't go out of town, and I don't want to keep paying these lawyers. I don't want to live I'm tired of this. And I say, Lord, like I said, I came up in the church stuff, but it won't as real to me as it is now. So this was just pure faith. Like, Lord, I don't know, but I just believe that you're real. I'm done with this lifestyle. Even if I'm going to prison, at least let me get up on. But I'm going to serve you. I quit.
Wow.
This is it.
That's deep.
This was 2000. This was my cry. I'm saying this in handcuffs in the back of a police vehicle while K9s is doing what they doing and they going through my stuff. And I'm just tired of this, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, man, I'm about to get 5 years, 6 years at least because of this incident. I end up getting a slap on the wrist. I ain't telling nobody. I ain't wear no wires. I ain't do nothing. That's a whole other situation about these rappers and these people that's so gangster and so real, but they be telling, they be ratting, they be lying. That's another conversation. But long story short, I started walking right. I started getting into church and seeking God. I did that for 2 years. I backslid for 2 years. So 2012. So for the last 9 years, I've been walking this way. I've been mentoring. I dropped my first book, Weapons of Mass Destruction, a 500-page nonfiction in 2000.
Wow. Oh my God! Can I see that book again?
Yes, ma'am.
That's a big book.
Yeah. So this was the papa. This was the daddy. This one, the daddy gave birth to Overstanding. So this was the first one. 500-page nonfiction. I talk about black exploitation. I talk about heavy metal, death metal, everything, pornography. Everything is in that book. But I kind of took that off the market, and I'm pushing this one and branding this one. So I wanted to give back. After living through all of that, I just felt as a calling and purpose that I'm to help right the wrongs that I was doing. You know what I'm saying? So I started my clothing line, Lord Save My City. This is my t-shirt that I'm wearing. Yes, ma'am. I want to send you one, so make sure I get your info. I'll send you a t-shirt. So I started doing Lord Save My City. I believe that this is my purpose to help save those individuals that's still out there. You know, because I heard the cries for help. When you smoking and drinking, bro, I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of going to jail. Girls, like I said, females, multiple children. I just wish something would change. I talk to people. I've been ministering and coaching for years, and I hear the cries of the people. I've had people try to kill themselves, and they call me, bro, I'm ready to do it, bro. I'm ready to do it. And I fly around there and stop him from killing themselves. I've been putting in this work for years. I really have. So now using platforms like this to level up to greater, to widen my reach. And of course, people going to have issues with it. People going to be hating. People going to be talking trash. People going to be coming for me. But all I'm going to say is keep it real with yourself. Do you want your teenage daughter to get pregnant right now because she's twerking, busting it open, busting challenge, doing the busting challenge, now somebody busting her up? Is that what you want? I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? You want your little hitter out there. He leaving the bus stop. He got a 9 in his book bag, and he about to go ride and put in work because he a rider. He a jack boy. He all of this. No, man, we come from a strong race of people, and we're so much better than that. I don't care what you say. We're so much better than that. You can't tell me Martin Luther King, Nat Turner, all them people that did what they did for our people would celebrate black people right now if they was alive. You cannot tell me that if Harriet Tubman came back and you put her in an Escalade and rode her through all the neighborhoods in America, and she would be jumping for joy saying, great, I did a great job. These people would throw up. Martin Luther King would throw up if he saw this what was going on. These people would throw up. They would twist and turn and roll over in their grave. I didn't die for this. I didn't get beat down and bit by dogs and shot by water hose so y'all can be running around, monkeying around, doing all the foolishness that we doing. Come on, man. We better than that. We better than that. But we're allowing them to continue to manipulate us. At the end of the day, it's our money. It's our dollars. It's our will. And it's people like yourself, myself, my partner on here, and others that are awake, and we reach one at a time, or with platforms like this, 100 at a time, 1,000 at a time. And somebody's heart going to get pricked to say, bro, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And if we keep doing that enough, then we're going to affect change. Thank you.
So I know because you speak, and I'm going to assume that if people wanted you to come to where they are, they could do that. And they could get a hold of you.
Yes, ma'am.
And so,
yes, ma'am.
That being said, when it comes to your mentoring and talking to people and speaking, how do you separate yourself, seeing the people who are struggling? And I'm sure it gets emotional. I'm sure you're seeing what they go through because you've been through it, or you're seeing where it could lead to. How are you able to separate yourself to just still be able to mentor and not get emotionally involved? I mean, because you sound so passionate, so involved, so extremely in, you know what I'm saying? Like 100%. It has, I mean, you have to have sometimes there's when you have to like take a break for yourself, because you're really you're giving more of yourself, helping other people.
Yes, I do believe in self-care. I've been certified as an addiction and abuse recovery coach. So
Wow.
growing that. So I do two coaches, and I'll plug that at the end. I do help people write I help people tell their story through the written word. So I do help people write books. I actually have a coaching program that I help people become authors. But I also do addiction and abuse recovery. So learning to separate it and to decompress at the end. And excuse me, there's certain music that I have that I listen to. Excuse me, I like to watch the oceans on YouTube and stuff like that. Listen to the oceans sound, just finding ways to decompress. I do take. I appreciate you, Kittrick, man. We're gonna have to connect, man. Definitely. I do believe in learning to disconnect, and these aren't my burdens, so I also pray, Lord, this heavy, like, yeah, I can't, I did my part, let me get out the way, so learning to let it go, learning to release it, because people's stories are heavy. I've heard some stories, sometimes when I retell some of the stuff I went through, I'm like, man, that was a wild time, you know what I'm saying? But, I was called to do it. So I've been given the capacity to hold that weight, but I hold it long as I need to before I let it go. I hold it long as I need to, and then I let it go. People always will come to me, bro, I'm going through this. My child died. This. I'm pregnant again. That. I ain't praying for this. Oh my God, I just got shot. I'm in the hospital. I'm about to die. My grandma died. My mom, like, all bunch of everything crazy. And I hold what I need to, and when it's time to release.
So with your mentoring, how do if I were to want to send someone to you, like how does that happen? How do you do your mentoring? How do you do your sessions with people when you sit with them and you're coaching? I mean, what's the kind of what would you need from them? How, and assisting them, like, how does that start?
Yes, ma'am. So it would depend. I'm kind of structuring that right now. I'm kind of balancing, because so right now I'm looking to really grow my book coaching right now. I do have a day job for a number of days a week during the week, but I'm not really sure yet to answer as far as mentoring. Now, addiction and abuse recovery, I take a certain amount of clients. So they could go to my website to contact us and just send a request. Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing, so forth and so on. Because one thing that I had to learn also to put a dollar valuation on my time. Yes, I love you. Yeah. Yes, I want to serve you. Yes, I want to help you. But I got a family. I got needs. I got everything. So, as a certified coach, I'm certified. So I have a dollar value that I can charge per hour. To help people write a book, I have a 8-week coaching program. If a person chooses to make that investment, to do that. Why? I know what it's like to invest in myself. I paid to go to school. I paid to go to conferences. I paid to get my certification. I believe in investing in myself. And just over the years, I've seen some people, they'll use. They'll call. You have to establish boundaries for people, and you have to also establish a dollar valuation so they'll respect your time and respect what you're doing, and that they'll take it seriously. You just called me to talk for 15 minutes, you might not care. But if I say, before we start, let me send you an invoice, and then we'll move forward, that changes things.
So let me say to you, when writing a book, because I did see on one of your lives and your videos about you do help people and writing a book. Do you think that, I've heard this, that when people write, you should write obviously on what you know, but then reliving it sometimes can take a book longer than anticipated because you're reliving it. So is it better for someone to write it for you so you can tell your story? I mean, it may not matter, but you can just keep rewriting it and keep going back through and rewriting it because you're reliving and you're like, okay, and you start over. And indeed. I say that because I've heard that because I know Kittrick has his book and he's done that because he's living what he's writing.
Absolutely. So it depends, and that's why I believe I was gracious. I don't know who else did this, but I'm walking in who I am. That's why it's like I'm a hybrid coach. Some people say just take one thing and but mine is kind of a blend where so you can sign up to work with me just for addiction and abuse recovery. Just that. You can sign up to work with me just to help you write your book, authorship. That's that.
Right.
But if you have to, if your story is really traumatic and you need extra help, there's a little more investment, and we'll increase the time. So my authorship course is 8 weeks. I'm just gonna help you write the book. An hour a week, we get on a Zoom, we go through it, so forth and so on. I give you the framework, I give you the websites, where to get your cover done, where to do everything that you need to do. That's an 8-week course. But if you're like, bro, it's so traumatic, I need help, blah, 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 then you got like a 12 to 16 week. Why? Because we're going to be going through the framework. We're going to process this trauma. I'm going to hold space for you. I'm going to open your vision so you can see more and work through that. Then further on the back end, we'll start working on the book. Because if every time you write, you crying and snotting and triggering, no disrespect to nobody, we ain't going to get nowhere. So if I take 4 weeks to say, this is my framework to reset by alpha, we're going to recover, elevate, succeed, excel from trauma by the awareness of this, and just go through the framework that I do have, we can start moving through that to get some level of healing and internal stability. And from that place, then I'll walk you through the structure of, all right, what's your book about? You want to tell your whole life story, or you want to tell this part and this part and this part? Why? Because you are the author. You tell them what you want to tell them. You go where you want to go. But just know that there's freedom in your pain. Your pain is somebody else's profit. It's your profit too, but your pain is someone else's profit, which goes back to what we said about the children. Why are you going to go out here and become a teenage mother when you ain't got to? I was a teenage mom. Why you need to be a teenage mom? So that's the power of that. So that's what I do. There's a blending. And I walk through, and this is what I was called to do. I've come to find out I was called to therapy and healing. The more that I've walked and lived, I was called to therapy and healing and to help people write their books. I got 2 under my belt, 500 pages, 300 pages. You've seen some of the places that I've been, as far as media and all that. So now I'm just putting together even stronger marketing materials to get this message out to help people, because I know the power of a book. I know the power of vulnerability, of transparency, and things of that nature. Now more than ever, I've experienced complex PTSD. I lost 4 people in 2020. A person who was like my big sister, a cousin, and just back to back, wham, 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 in the last 8 months of 2020. And I still had to perform. I still had to show up. I still had to put out content. I still had to be a father. I still had to be a dad. I still had to finish my coursework to become certified. So I know the power of having someone else on the other end that can be neutral. Ain't nothing wrong with talking to your mama, your spouse, and all that. Me and my wife is friends, but it's a difference when you have somebody that can hold space for you while you empty your deepest secrets and darkness to get it out of you. You got to confess your faults one to another. And it's a part of the healing process. Fellowship and recovery is the healing process.
You're saying everything. I mean, from now I see how you talk about wellness and self-care. That's all a part of it. I mean, it's I've never heard that about holding a space. The first time I've ever heard anybody say that. And that takes in a lot. The first time I've heard anybody say that about holding a space for you, I've just never heard it put that way.
I appreciate that.
So I know we have gone, it's been a while, because this was really, really good. I'm not saying that because you're here, but this was really, really good and informative. This is such a great segment.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
And I am hoping that all of my listeners, subscribers, that you really take something from this, that Marquise is going to tell you, of course, again, where you can find him. He will be on our website, entrepreneurlifeshow.com. If you want to go to the YouTube channel, you can watch it live. If you're listening on a podcast and you're not on the live platform. You can watch it on the webpage. You can watch it on YouTube, as well as, just in case you need to make sure you find out where he's at. He's going to tell us one more time to get his website information. So you can definitely a great person to connect with. I mean, you have such enthusiasm and you're very transparent, which is lovely.
Thank you.
You can see the passion.
Awesome. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm glad you reached out. You know, it's time. It's alignment. You know, I'm here to serve and do what I was called to do. So thank you.
And before you go, let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. So please visit. Thank you, Kendrick. I really appreciate your conversation. You can go to MarquiseTrent.com. That's MarquiseTrent.com. On there, if you have a school, appreciate you, bro. If you're a teacher, administrator, whatever, I do virtual speaking engagements. So you can do that. Just go to the contact form and let me know, and we can take it from there. Also, the book Overstanding is on there. I appreciate the support. Just go on and purchase a book. If y'all give me about to about 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I go. The book is normally $25, but if you go and put in coupon code Rezella, REZELLA, I knock off 5 for you. Shipping, you know, so I knock off $5. So go to MarquiseTrent.com. Give me till about 5 p.m. so I can go in the website. Coupon code Rezella. Is Rezella? Rezella's cool?
Yep, that's me.
REZELLA. Coupon code is Rezella. You'll save $5. And this is even for the recorded. For those that will be hearing this later, that'll just stay what that is. And if you also go to for those that want to be authors, so just go to my website. All my social media, everything's on there. myname.com. Marquise with the E. Don't forget the E. MarQuise Trent.com. Everything is on there. Social media, videos, everything. But for those that actually want to become authors and you're having some struggles, I do have a free author checklist that I put together. You can write your book with just this checklist if you're crafty. And that is, go to www. and make sure you put in www. Write, WRITE, the right, WRITE, or flight, FLIGHT, like fight or flight is the right or flight .school. So again, that's www. the right, WRITE, or flight, FLIGHT .school. It's a play on words. The fight or flight, trauma, you gonna fight or you gonna run? Well, you gonna write the book or you gonna run? What you gonna do? I want you to write the book. So stay and write, stay and fight. Don't run. Yeah. Stay and write the story. So it's the right or flight school. The right or flight .school, and you can get a free author checklist. It will really help you walk through there. I got a free training and stuff that you have access to. And again, I just appreciate you, Rose, for the opportunity. I'm gonna have to fix the website too, because the Lord Save My City. The t-shirts are available. You can go to LordSaveMyCity.com. But I'm gonna go on there and make sure I connect that. Lord Save My City. We got new colors about to come out and things of that nature. We got wristbands, hoodies, stuff like that. So yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you once again, and thank you to everybody who has listened, and I've seen you all and your comments. So appreciate you. So just remember, tune in again for our next show. Check out the calendar at entrepreneurlifeshow.com for all the upcoming guests that we'll be having. And next week, on the 18th, we will be having Karen White. So make sure you guys tune in. That's going to be another great interview. Okay, so we will see you guys next time. Bye. Out.
Yes.